Good evening, Bula Vinaka and Namaste. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Tonight we are following on from episodes done last year in relation to issues that are really affecting our country. Cancer in our society now that really needs to be ripped off, and urgent action taken by all stakeholders involved in the country. And the stakeholders include, no doubt, the police, right at the forefront of this, and other stakeholders include the government, a big part to play there in different ministries, the associated agencies, us as the media, those people on the ground, the civil society, NGOs, and other countries who have missions here, who have multinational agencies based here, on what they can do to help this cancer. This is spreading in our country quite rapidly, and that is drugs. Drugs that has come out in the open now. We've had the biggest methamphetamine bust of $2 billion. Prior to that, the biggest bust was when the warehouse was busted in around 2004 at Laucala Beach, and that was a total value of $1 billion. Now we've got double of that, and it was detected in the Western Division. We have Drug-Free World Fiji founder Kalesi Volatabu back in studio tonight, and we talk to her based on what's happening on the ground. We are hearing reports day after day, more drugs being found, more hard drugs being found. What is happening on the ground? Are we burying our heads in the sand maybe? Are we turning a blind eye? And it is all opening up based on what is going on. What is happening on the ground, Kalesi?
Yes, you know what? For the longest time, after 5 years, I'd say, this is the most exciting time that I've seen here in Fiji. We've had the big shift of this meth bust happening, one after the other. And I think what it is as well is people are empowered to actually call in and make these reports. Police, doing the seizures, because there was, a few things, seizures that were happening in the past, but they were little amounts. But the tons that we found now, it's just the cream of the crop. I know there's a huge haul here in Fiji, and I just hope that, it's not just the police working in silo. I hope they would work with border security, customs, the Navy. Everybody needs to collaborate, work collectively together. Only then they can actually get this across. And at the same time, as community members, they have a huge role to play. They are the eyes and the legs out there in the community. They see what's happening. If you're suspicious that something is happening, pick up the phone, call someone, reach out, because only then will we be able to, fight this together.
Thank you for coming into the studio, because most of the time you're on the ground talking to the people. And since we brought up this issue last year, we've seen an escalation of busts being conducted, and police really saying that what the Minister for Home Affairs has said, maybe a bit of more tracking is going on by the police, and police being empowered to conduct more raids compared to the past. What are you gathering?
Yes, very much so. And the thing is as well, we have different police posts or police officers themselves reaching out. They want to be educated on this. They want to know what they're fighting against. What are the impacts of this? What's in these drugs we're talking about? We quite loosely say crystal meth or ice, whatever it may be, meth all across the country, but they don't know what it actually looks like, what pure meth looks like. Yeah. Those bricks that they found, not just cocaine, but actually bricks of meth, when that's filtered into a community, they cut it down. They add other things onto it to get more money. And I'm so glad that we have some great police officers there, still staunch. They know what their role is. They're commissioned to look after and, community safety. They're not compromised. I'm not saying all police are bad. No, they're not. There are some great officers out there doing great work. You just take one bad apple to ruin it for everyone.
There's some bad apples.
There are some bad apples, yes. And I see that Minister of Home Affairs are actually looking at cleaning it up, cleaning the messes that they have with the police. It's a long road. It's not going to happen overnight, because this is historically if we look back, we've had this, within the institution for quite a long time. And it has to take someone, tough enough to actually stand up and say, you know what, we need to clean this up for our community safety and everything else.
Concerning issues are emerging. Primary school students, students as young as in primary school, taking hard drugs like methamphetamine and others. And I'm talking about hard drugs because they're more addictive, and we'll go into detail about the extreme dangers associated with that. We know a lot more young people are involved in prostitution publicly on the streets at night. And what are you gathering in relation to that?
Yeah, for me, I thought, I did know that existed till we did a rapid assessment back in 2019. That's when we met the youngest user, the needle user that we met. That was an 11-year-old, just to see it and hear his story. His is one of many. And I thought, this is not happening here in this country. No, as we go on, we talk to street workers, sex workers, whoever it may be. Sit down and just have a talano with them and say, when did you start? How old were you? What was happening at home? They are triggers to these guys. They don't just get up, and they want to use. No. The severity, the level, the excess use of substance abuse that they use, just depends. They were just chasing the first high. And obviously after that, they had other drugs. Goes to the harder drugs. For him, he was sent from the Maritime, moved into the urban areas here in Suva.
This 11-year-old boy.
The home wasn't safe for him anymore. So he just, was going to school. Obviously, he dropped out of school, started hanging with the wrong crowd. This young kid, he was looking for a family, that sense of belonging. He couldn't find it in the home that he was at. So he found it on the streets with these guys. And you will see, when they're on the streets, it's safer for them. They think it's safer for them. Yeah, but they put themselves in very vulnerable, fragile positions. Because, paddlers, those big, they would use these guys, these young boys, and utilize them, literally the best of their benefit. Because at the end of the day, it's the kid would just do it. And if he gets arrested, who gets into trouble with the child is, or, if that child goes to court, what happens at court? It's either the person goes, it's, thrown out of court, or lack of evidence, whatever it may be. Just, there's a ripple effect just happens out of that. So with this young boy, he's one of many. Why would you stay on the street? He said, this is my gang, this is my family. That's what they used to. We can remove them off the street and move them somewhere else, but no, they will come back. Because that's home for them. They will come back in groups, in droves, back into, the streets. And I see how the Assistant Minister for Women and Children, they were trying to do a huge cleanup for Suva. Yeah. We can only do it for so long, but they will come back because we haven't really addressed the reasons why they're going back into the streets. All it is a sense of belonging. They're looking for family. There are needs that needs to be addressed. There are contributing factors that needs to be addressed. A Band-Aid cannot fix that.
Are we talking about hard drugs and how addictive they are?
Yeah.
And of course that plays a part. You can take a person out and just say this is a new home for you. But if they continue to have that addiction, you are an expert in that area. You've done a lot of sessions based on that. Yeah. How addictive are these drugs?
Oh, very addictive. One thing's for certain, when you buy drugs off the street, you don't even know what's in that drug. Eh? It can be added with something else. One shot can kill you because you just don't know what's in that. But obviously one shot will get you addicted for life. And the high you get from there, it is, wow, something euphoria that you've never had before. And you go and reach and you would hear, people will try to, when they come on a downer, so when they come down, so we use crystal meth as an example. You'll go 4 days straight. You're on the go. And you love that excitement. You like that energy that you've got because you're on the run. You're buzzing all the time. But when you come down on it, I've had people say, I need to get, I'm coming down. What do I do? And the dealer will say, it's easy. Just take more shot. Just to keep you on that plateau. It's like, man, you can't. So different areas, different stories. Here in Fiji, man, a young girl, that was 2020, 16, she just went with a friend, had a tanoa, they pull out a piece pipe. That piece pipe was marijuana laced with meth. Her whole life changed. She was only 16. She ended up in, St. Giles for 3 months. She had to be dependent on medication now. So, that I'm talking about different people, different levels, what happens to them. So this young girl, her life will never be the same again. This young boy, the 11-year-old, that was the one that we met, that was shooting, that's his life. He doesn't see anything else. The thing is, we don't have a drug and alcohol rehab here in the centre, whether it's for a teenager or for an adult. Where do they go for help? St. Giles is certainly not the answer, because it's a melting pot. They can't...
They're overwhelmed.
They're understaffed, they're overwhelmed, when you look at it, how do we retain our medical staff here in this country? First of all, how do we retain our people, those who are qualified to work for our people? No, because they are interested in going overseas and taking all the skills they've learned from overseas back over there, where we need it here the most. So how do we retain our people? There is so many different things that we need to address. When we talk about drugs, it's like we need to have a look at system overhaul in this country, not just with police, health services, education, all across the board. And one of the big things is that I'm really excited about is the strategic plan that's moving forward, the narcotic strategy for the country. I know they're looking at actually putting that through cabinet, and that entails, turns into a policy for each ministry. Only then the framework will be formalized for each different department to actually undertake. Then we have to look at our legislation. Now, how many of our huge busts that we've had, and then we've had those perpetrators or offenders get released on bail? It's like the legislation has to marry with what? We have to change the law here to saying, okay, this is what you've arrested with, you don't get bail. I'm sorry. We've got to change our law literally here.
And the penalty, the maximum penalty is life imprisonment and $1 million fine.
Yeah.
But again, it comes down to the court system on whether it will be handing down those real deterrent sentences or the precedent set on much lower sentences, which then allows things to continue to happen. I'll come back to this issue about what's mixed in the drugs that's being sold here, because initial analysis, a lot of things that were quite dangerous were being mixed, like rat poison and other things. If you can elaborate on that.
Yeah.
To try to get more money, people are mixing other things, which is very concerning.
Yes, it is. So you would get the purest form of crystal meth here in Fiji, it's quite hard unless it comes from overseas, right? So when they do get it, they cut it more. They add, whether it be red sack, they cut it back, cut it with whatever they can get their hands on. So if I can get $100, I go from Silver to Nosari corridor, I can get all the ingredients I need to actually cook the meth here in this country. So, but people are actually cutting it more because they want to buy some more. We had, 2 months ago, we went out into Nambour, just talking to the community. When I talk to the community, just, young people, random, having a conversation. We can tell they're high, they're under the influence of something. Just having a conversation, they started talking. Oh, so, can you tell me about meth? Ice, what sort of meth or ice is out there? There's 5 different kinds. So they started telling you what it is, what it does to you. So in hindsight, it actually tells you what they've cut those meth with. Yeah. It's such a huge learning curve here in Fiji. The terms, how it's on the street, how is it sold, where do you get it? They know exactly where it is, how to make flavors. Yes, I didn't know they can have it in flavors, but yes, they do here. And it's quite dangerous when you have the conversation, what it does to you. Asking them, what has happened to you? Some of them will just freak out straight away, or, oh yeah, when I take this one, this is what it does to me. When I take this one, this is what it does to me. They know exactly which one, what it does to them. And it's quite mind-boggling just to sit there and actually listen to them take you on their journey.
It's hard for you, no doubt, and you're trying to do all this work, and we'll talk about that in the upcoming segment. But one of the issues that also really concerning is the sharing of needles.
Yes.
These things that are now coming out in the open, that people are also taking the hit and then using the same syringe to draw out blood of a person who's taken the hit and then putting it into other people's bodies. That is so concerning that the sharing of needles is one thing, but now it's happening at an elevated level.
Yes, it is. Are we ready for it? Like, do you think we have the capacity? Do we have the support of the resources here in this country? We don't. Like, from last year, we're already the second, fastest rising HIV epidemic in the Asia Pacific. I don't even know what our stats is going to be this year. That was just last year. Last year was 345. Now, I don't even know if we're going to double. The thing is, at the end of the day, we need to do more national campaign on HIV and AIDS. And at the same time, we look at, the needles, what's happening, the needle users that's happening across the country. Health services, they need the help. I know they need the help. They are lacking resources. They need technical support. They need, consultation. Yeah, they need someone to actually help them find the gaps where there are within them.
Rehab centers.
Rehab center is huge on its own. Like you're talking about the needle, the needle sharing of needle, and now you see the transfusion of blood from one to the other. It's it's like you're giving somebody a loaded gun and you're just going at it. So the other thing we need to push for is for everybody to be tested. That's a huge. If we can do a huge campaign on getting everybody to be tested, it's nothing to be scared of. It's like, if you have it, at least you know that you have it. So you don't spread it to everyone else. There's other means you can use. You can go on medication, for crying out loud. But it's like just to push people to go and get tested, that's hard on its own. To make it easier. Now they've got the rapid testing that they can use. You get the result within 10-15 minutes. Yeah. But it's still, we need to remove the stigma away from HIV and AIDS and say, you know what, it's for your health. It's not just you, it's your family as well.
No doubt multinational agencies and the diplomatic corps based in this country have to ensure that they get actively involved?
Definitely, without a doubt. They do. There has to be an international responsibility with these, diplomatic corps. They see what's happening in this country. They cannot turn a blind eye.
Well, if it's destined for some of these countries close by,
yes,
Australia to name one,
yes,
wouldn't it be right, based on what you're doing on the ground, that Australia comes in total support?
They are the world leading demand for crystal meth across the country, across the world, really, yes. And that meth is coming through our country. They might have the support that we don't. They have all the technical support that they have. They have all the funding. We don't. So I believe, they have to take international responsibility to see, okay, how can we best help Fiji? Not just the law enforcement. We need to remove that. Not just on law enforcement. They have to look at civil society. They have to look at the social issues that is impacting and affecting our country
As you said,
now.
about massive campaigns, about knowing that it's so addictive, and we'll talk about how it has been destroying families, destroying people, destroying communities even, as we go along. Do you think this has become a ticking time bomb?
Oh, you know what, this tsunami we've had this tsunami for the last 4 or 5 years, yes. Everyone's just, we haven't done anything for the last few years, apart from just the campaign snippets here, there and everywhere, but, it has been. Right now, the meth, the bust that we've had, the 2 in 90 and then obviously the 12 kilos of cocaine as well, we can't dismiss that because that's a huge haul as well. And at the same time, it's, that's what we've seized. The question is, what about the stuff that we haven't actually seized? That's the stuff that, when we did the seizure in Nandi, the other question is, somebody had to pay for that. because that drug was either going overseas or here as well. So if part of that was supposed to be here as well, can you imagine the turf war that'll come out of these, especially within, whatever community or suburbs here in Suva, for that matter. I'll just name Suva. Community safety will be affected as well. So we have to do a lot more. I'm so glad that the police are all saying meth. Meth is a dangerous drug. It is, very addictive. It is one of the deadliest drugs out there. It is. It's more than talk. We need to do more than talk. We need to go out there. For us, drug-free world, it's all about education for us. It's like, we don't want to wait till chaos, because that's what we've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years, is early intervention. Reiterating the importance of actually early intervention, going into the front end of it before it gets to, the tail end when it explodes in our face.
There's also concerns being raised, drugs like ketamine been found up in the highlands. There's some suggestion of it even being leaked from some of the hospitals, that people may be stealing them at the hospital and selling them.
Yes, that's right. So we had a phone call to go out to Singatoka area, went there to do an outreach and everything. We just started talking. What they were asking for, they didn't know what ketamine actually does, what the effects of it, what it does to a person. So the seizure they had was a 15 vial on this young person. And, they found needles with the person as well. And just telling them, things, magic happen when you're talking to the community. You go to their level and you talk their talk. You create a safe space for them to start sharing. All the information came out about how it was purchased, who was selling it, how easy, accessible they were. She was seized with 15, but she's had this ongoing sale with this so-called person from the hospital for a while. But the thing is, talking to the police officers, they didn't know what ketamine does, or even the parents, they didn't know what it does, and so it was so crucial that we go out there, we give the factual information, because that's what they needed. And parents, they want to protect their children. So how do they do that? So, those drugs, I didn't even know it was here in this country and it takes this kind of conversation, having this kind of talanoa, to bring it out in the open, because parents, they see what's happening in the community, they see the changes, they're very suspicious, so they just, reach out, and that's what we want. We want them to reach out before anything happens.
You've also had discussions, and this has been emerging as well, where prostitutes are coming out, young and old, are coming out and saying that their clients who are coming in, they're forcing them to take hard drugs. They have access to hard drugs already.
Definitely. So it's a lot of, when you speak to these sex workers and you have a conversation with them, have a tell them what happens to them, how do they, and any of the clients, majority of the clients would bring it, and it's a party thing. So they bring in for them it's like it goes hand in hand. Sex, drugs, party, the whole euphoria that happens. And they say yes, they have to take the drugs, obviously, when they're doing their business or whatever it may be, when they want to party. Because keep in mind, crystal meth, one of the big things it does, it actually, you're awake for 4 or 5 days straight. You do nothing but party. And when you're partying, other drugs, get used or is intervened or whatever it may be. But things happen during those times. If I look at ketamine is what you call your date drug, rape date drug. Yes. So when somebody's injected with it, they don't know what's happening to them. They don't remember. There is a whole blackout. There's a whole 24 hours missing. So that's just, that's what ketamine does to you. But when you look at, crystal meth, like I said, it's a party drug, and you go for 4 or 5 days straight. You just do nothing but party all night.
This
but when you hit the wall,
this date rape drug also.
Yeah.
I know Shamima Ali has also raised these concerns. It's being used in clubs, etc., to get people.
Yeah, definitely. Because, if you're a young girl, I'm not just saying this happens to young girls, because I know of stories that happens to young boys as well. Yes. So, when you're partying, When you go in groups, stay with your group, because you leave your drink and you go and dance and you come back and you're saying you've had too much to drink, so you don't even know what you're drinking. Well, somebody will go and buy you a drink and say, hey, have a drink. You don't know if it's spiked. So it's really crucial. Young person, whoever's listening out there, if you're going out to party, make sure your group knows where you are at all times, because it's not safe. It's not safe in the club. It's not safe out there in the community.
And what's your drink?
Yes.
We'll be back after this break.
Wait, where am I?
Oh, you died, bro.
I'm dead? But why?
Gordy, that's what happens when you change your playlist when you're driving?
Crashed.
What? No, this can't be happening. I had so much left to do in life. All I do is stare at my phone because I'm Gen Z and we're all anti-social. And I wish I did so much. But by the way, do you guys have Wi-Fi up here?
This is why you should have listened to F96 Drive. Shouldn't let them play the music.
And you just drive.
No! I can't believe this is happening. It was
When you're done,
my car and I didn't have
Hell
a car.
is that way, yeah?
Wait, what?
I've always resorted to drugs because of the work that I do as a coping mechanism.
You said you started sex work and drugs at the same time?
I was 12 years old.
Do you believe, based on the current situation, your salary and allowances should be reviewed and reduced?
Definitely, I think it should be reviewed to reflect what is there in the market.
Is the government of the day promoting nepotism within our community and hatred towards Indo-Fijians?
Thank you very much. The answer is no.
$1 in $3 of our taxes goes towards servicing our debt. So you can't say it's nothing.
There's also the need to do financial inclusion a bit better.
What is your message to the people who may rate you as not good enough for finals rugby?
Success doesn't just happen overnight.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan, brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Medical Services.
Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight, the drug-free World Fiji founder, Kalesi Volatabu. Kalesi, we've had the largest methamphetamine bust in Fiji a few weeks ago, valued at $2 billion. What is the message as people from a wide cross-section of the society seem to be involved?
Yes. And there's so many messages there. One of the big things is somebody had to tip the police, obviously, to go out and do the raid, which is, so grateful for that to happen. But at the same time, if we're finding this in, in one of the settlements in Nandi, makes you wonder where the others are. They found these tons of, and I'm totally believing this is just a cream of the crop. There is others out there. There's other whole hiding somewhere here in Fiji. So I'm just hoping that whoever's listening out there, who's watching, you would know if something suspicious is happening. Pick up the phone, call somebody. Yeah, because these drugs actually finds its way into our society, into our community. Our lives would be threatened, our families, our children in school, our community will be definitely threatened for that matter. So I am so glad that we actually are doing that. Now it's actually showing, oh wow, okay. So for the longest time there was always whispers, and now this is true evidence. Now this is tangible evidence that we have meth here in this country.
It was earlier being said it's not meant for the Fiji market. It was said it's not in these large amounts of, it's not large amounts of meth or cocaine. What is your message to the people who are watching out there?
I need to acknowledge those people that actually shared information with us, because what they shared with us and what was reported was two different things. what happened these few weeks ago was the evidence that literally that we needed, because we can't hide this behind the door anymore, or hide it under the carpet anymore, because it's like literally it showed, okay, we do have this here. From what we've seen on the streets post-COVID, the explosion, the demand for crystal meth in this country exploded. That was literally through just talking to the community, you know, the bus stand, when we did the other show, the road show, went into the schools. The kids were actually, sharing that. You know, the teachers even confirmed needles were found in, you know, in their bags in the school. So it was like, we were trying to find out, where were these meth? Where are they? Where are they coming from? How big is the demand? And you ask the kids, do you know how much this is on the street? They would tell you how much it is, where to get it from, how to score it. You know, and the sad thing is our young youth, our teenagers, okay, if we look at a cohort here in Fiji, our teenage youth, the largest number of unemployment are the youth. In urban areas, I hate to see if they are being used as runners. So if they can't find employment, these peddlers would use these kids. I'm just saying it out there, not saying that it's actually happening, but that was the fear that I have. Would they use these young people literally as runners to actually compensate for unemployment? Sorry. So how rife it is, I know of a few communities here, red zones, it's just exploded. This meth, it's out there. And it's just not the young people anymore that's selling it. We're talking about grandfathers, we're talking about fathers. The other fear that I have is like, what future? What role models do we have for our younger children now? If they see their dads or their grandfathers doing this, peddling this, or their older brother doing this as primary schoolers. So there are so many things that we have to do. Even though we seize that, I'm so grateful, but I know that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many others just waiting.
People are saying that the big fish or the key players in the drug rings, the drug syndicates, are still walking around freely. Whoever's been taken in, people on the fringes who are doing the work. What have you gathered from the ground?
You know what? Those, when you look at those organized crime syndicates and everything else, you've got those, the big fishes at the top. They're living a life of luxury. You don't even know. They can be business owners, whoever it may be. They're having fancy jobs, whatever. Having a fine life. But it's those under them, they're the ones that are actually fighting. They're fighting, whether it be turf war, whether it be, you know, money-wise, whatever it may be. But what I'm seeing and gathering on the ground is these businesses, I know there are people that know who they are, but they just don't know who they can talk to. I've had, you know, many intels that I've received from people that actually share their stories, but they don't want to be, you know, they don't want anybody to know who they are. They want to be anonymous. But they've shared stories of which business owners we're talking about now and everything else. So those big fishes, they stay there. And I'm sure nothing stays secret in this country for long. People talk, yes. And I think it's just a matter of encouraging them. You know what? If you want to better Fiji, you need to step up.
Step up now.
You need to step up. You need to share those information. If you know who it is, share that information, because, you know, we're already chaos here in this country. Fiji police can't do it anymore. You know, the health, they need the help. The school, they need the help. Parents, community, everybody has a role to play. And I know you know something that you need to share with somebody. Pick up the phone, reach out, talk to someone.
It is a lucrative trade. What are some of the challenges that we are facing based on that?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. That meth that we just bust was worth how many? $2.2 billion? Okay. Do you know in some countries, the cartel can actually buy off a government with the money that they get from the drug? So 2.2 billion is nothing. You know, how they can actually, it's so easy for somebody to be compromised, whether they're in a high position or whatever position they may be. Here in Fiji, what I found, the weakness is money. I can just, as a, you know, whether it be a police officer or whoever it may be, I'll walk up to you and say, you know, 50K. you know, something's happening and I just need you to turn the other way. What would you do? And would you rather just pick up your, I don't know, how much is it, a fortnight wage here, or would you rather take that money and just look the other way? And that's what we found through intel, talking to people.
But it's already happening.
It's already happening, and it has been happening for 5 years. This is nothing new. I'm not saying anything new here. This is already here in place in Fiji. What I want is for people to get the courage, get the confidence, speak out. We need to clean this out. Yeah.
And even for marijuana farmers, this has been happening as well?
Yeah,
in relation
definitely.
to the busts. Now, some police officers are definitely allegedly involved. Tampering of evidence has taken place at police stations in the past few weeks. It has happened before the cocaine that was busted, which included an airline worker, former airline worker, and the person who's charged again in the current bust. That case had to be let go because the exhibit or the evidence had gone missing from the police station. What do you have to say about that?
Do you know what? It was like I was reading the bus and I was so excited, and then, you know, then the next bus, the 5 days after, another bus, and I'm thinking, oh, well done, police! Like, you know, we're doing a great job. And within a matter of days, you know, it was compromised or tampered with, and I thought, damn, 2 steps forward and 5 backwards. What do we do? You know what? I acknowledge what the police is doing, but at the same time, when you want to do something great, there's always, you know, that bad side of it. So you can't just move forward without cleaning. You need to clean that up first, because I know they would have, what do you call it? They've done so many great things, but because of the bad apples that they have within the institution, they would have done so much more. So, in other words, I would have loved for the community to work with the police. Okay, this is what we see, because I know personally where, through family, where a police officer actually did something not great. He was, you know, suspended, everything else. We went through the police court of appeal, and the thing is like talking to people after going through that process. I know how daunting and how scary it is for people to actually go against the police. You know, we went through the tribunal with the police and everything else, and it's like talking to people, it's like they feel scared. They don't know who they can trust with the police. They don't know if they will get into more trouble if they report the police. But right now, the climate is so right. The Minister of Home Affairs, the commissioner, the acting commissioner for police, this is what they want to do. The directors, some of the directors that I've spoken to with the police, they want to clean. They want to clean the institution. And the thing is, how do you do that? People need to stand up and actually say, you know what, yeah, I want to put in a formal complaint. This is what's happened. And we need a lot more, you know, people supporting the police to do that.
There were suggestions that there were some drug rings that were being tipped off before the police raids. Have you been hearing that on the ground?
You know what? Before even this big raid, all the other little raids that was happening before, like I said before, this is not new at all. With the work that we've done and everything else, we've let the information go through to those right departments to let them know this is what's happening. But they would go, and then obviously they don't find anything. So then you stand back and I said, okay, common sense would tell you, let's do our homework first. Let's see who else would have leaked the information, who else would know, you know, the raid was happening, who would have tipped that. But yes, what would have happened is like, you know, when you want to do something like that, you need to go literally on the, underground. Nobody needs to know. It's only a closed set of teams.
And those trusted officers.
Trusted officers. And the thing is, you know, to work with drugs, especially it's a lucrative business, those officers, you have to go through a whole testing to make sure that they are competent, they are sound individual and officers, that they are true to their role, not those who have been compromised. You look at Australia, New Zealand, all the other countries, you know, we've had those as well, compromised officers. Here in Fiji, it's quite easy for officers to be compromised. So Yeah. Before this raid, it didn't surprise me at all that, you know, they were tipped before that happened, because that was happening all over Suva here. Every time we would report certain things, yeah, the person would get tipped and
nothing would happen.
Nothing would happen. Nothing was used.
Nothing would be found. Now, issues emerging on meth, liquid meth and cocaine coming into the country. Recent reports of liquid meth coming all the way from Vancouver, from Canada. And there's clear linkages that have been pointed out to the gangs in British Columbia, to those who are based right now in Taiwan and in Vietnam. And that they have linked it to the drugs that are coming here, then some are destined for Australia. How dangerous is this becoming?
Wow, how dangerous has it been? You know, and I didn't even realize Canada was actually one of the ones that was cooking or manufacturing all these drugs, especially crystal meth. And then seeing when they transshipped it from Canada, Fiji is quite easy for them to actually, and this organized crime, they are international, they are global syndicate. So they've got all their contacts everywhere. And how dangerous is it? So it's attached to a motorcycle gang. That's how it is in British Columbia. It's quite easy for them to, and those motorcycle gang, they have a chapter in Australia, they have a chapter in New Zealand, America, so it's global. That's how they've been able to link this through all the way. And I know
they have a chapter in Fiji?
Yeah, they do have chapter. But the thing is, that's a good question. Do they have a chapter in Fiji? All we've got to do is stand back and look at our deportees. We have to link our deportees with that as well, eh? Because I know working in Australia, especially working in the prisons, some of our boys, you know, got done for commercial quantity of trafficking drugs and everything else. They serve their term, they get deported back here. They come here, they're not dormant, they're sleepers. They're just waiting for their to make that connection again. So, and that was one of the biggest questions, you know, how, and there was the same in Tonga, all those deportees from America, New Zealand, back into the island, when they get deported, they bring their contacts. The same thing here, they brought their contacts here. So with British Columbia, those drugs that were coming through, and I know in British Columbia, they have to do an overhaul on their end as well, because they don't have what you call a port police, and I don't know here in Fiji, do we have a port police here in Fiji? In Canada, they don't. What does that mean? Container gets shipped out, so anybody can work in the port in Canada. They don't have to go through security clearance, so any bikie, whatever it is, motorcycle gang members can actually work in there. They send their container through without even being checked. So if it's not checked on their end, do we check it on this end? How have we been able to get all this container load of drugs come through here in Fiji? So it was like...
Well, this person who was involved with a pharmaceutical company who is currently serving time in New Zealand, Ayaz Musa. And based on court documents, and this is actual court documents, where it has been stated that the drugs to make crystal meth was being sent from Fiji. It was a ring between in the region even, and then it was ending up in container yards in Auckland, where again there was a linkage to the fumigation company, which would go first, and when it goes to set out things in the container, it would take out the drugs and shift it, and that container would be cleared because the drugs is gone from there. So these are some of the things, connections, which when we're talking to the police on whether they're looking at all these different aspects, including pharmaceutical companies, major warehouses. We know some pharmaceutical companies, there's allegations already in relation, based on one person who's already convicted for crimes in New Zealand. He's serving time. What are you seeing based on that?
You know what? The other question and the other thing that I wanted to reiterate is like the proceeds of crime. Eh? These guys, when they get into this lucrative business, it's not just them. So they start transferring their assets or businesses, funds into their family members. Because if they get done, it's just whatever is under their name gets taken. So it's the whole family as well. So, like if we say Musa, when he got arrested, did we seize any assets? Did we seize any assets that's attached to him here in Fiji or even New Zealand for that matter? Not just him, his family members as well. And that's to go back to all the other big fishes that we know here in Fiji that's been arrested or whatever it may be. You arrest him, but look at his associates, look at his family members and whoever, because the proceeds of crime, it's not just that one person. It comes back down to our legislation. Our law needs to be changed. We need to look at, they need to change that obviously to suit the climate, because, these crime syndicate, they are 10 times faster than us. They are 10 times, more advanced than Australia and New Zealand. Imagine us, Fiji, we're trying to catch up. And they're already far ahead. They've already, a few more steps than us. So to answer your question plainly, it's not just, when you work with a syndicate, it's not just one person you're dealing with. You look at his associates and everything. If you go back to British Columbia, the motorcycle, organized crime, the syndicate, the whole thing they have chapters everywhere else. That's why I was saying before regarding the deportees, when they come, it's not just them that you need to alert on him. You alert on his family as well. What proceeds of crime would have gone to those family members or even their friends?
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break.
Ni sambulo bina katale nan dren ngamodengu and VTFM ngono mlito kani mic rando
sembuta out mama ayaw mikan galon bola how may miss so mitang chilango bing de miss ka kay natavina
oy ono nung salan de san de miss telo ko
ako ngor oy ako ngor gi pamutak tama ko rekoli
out dum dum tarbego right quando manda ke makai ko me lewa yeah and vi dam baka na mutai
se per manta ni dola lubengu se ruo se vida na lubengu ko elo tilio ola sagama de mola sami kemro mon reni bimbi umai
and the VTFM and the Beto Corvina Chugane Punjas, proud sponsors of the Fijian Ruango, Mike Rando.
Get ready to elevate your event with Total Event Company's top-notch gear hire services. From a stunning 12 by 12 meter adjustable stage and impressive 13 by 13 meter production roof, we've got your event covered. Our gear can fit any venue, big or small. Need tents? We offer 3 by 3 meter pagodas, 6 by 3 meter tents, and a grand 15 by 30 meter marquee tent. Turn your vision into reality. Choose Total Event Company for gear that makes your event shine. Visit the Total Event Company Facebook page or dial 3314766 to get in touch with us.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight, the drug-free World Fiji founder Kalesi Volatabu. Kalesi, for those who have watched the first show that we did, you talked about your life. You had, based on being in Australia, in the streets of Sydney, you took some of the worst drugs. And it affected you as an individual, affected your family. And I want to ask you, what were the drugs that you took back in the day?
Oh, crystal meth, ice, GOE speed. That was my baby. Yeah, I call it my baby. It was like my security. I needed that. Marijuana did absolutely nothing for
at
me.
the time.
At the time.
And it was based on you having no support structure.
No support structure, no family, no warmth. As a child, especially at 13, teenagers, you need your parents more than anything. Yeah, I never had that. But then obviously when you're on the drugs, it just adds more problems, more troubles, and that was, got myself...
And you kept increasing from, you said marijuana wasn't working, meaning that you just needed to go further up, further up.
Yeah, I did.
And it was
so for me,
full-blown addiction?
It was, like I needed that to function. I needed that to function. I needed that to survive another day, because when you're on that drug, I thought I was Superman, bulletproof. Nobody could harm me, had no fear. And that was one of the biggest thing. It numbed the pain, most of all, it numbed the pain that I was going through. The pain of wanting a family, wanting, my parents, wanting love. And that, my thought process, I thought it was, go for the drugs, because, you'll be okay. I thought I was going to be okay. No, it actually brought in more trouble than what I was worth. I'm so glad that, I can actually sit here and share that side of it, because during that time, it wasn't just me functioning, it was the drug that was driving me.
Now from you, based on your experience, and you did say that when you were in that full-blown addiction, people can even kill someone to get their next hit.
Definitely, yes, definitely. If that the drive, the urge is so great that you'd do anything just to get that hit. I wouldn't be like, you know what, it wouldn't even scare me. I wouldn't be ashamed to walk up to you, knock you over, empty your pocket, that's it, just so I can get that bit of money from you, whatever money you got, just so I can go and purchase some more.
Now, based on that, you've been talking to a lot of families. Through these shows, I know you're getting a lot of calls, right, from people in authority, but also families who have their loved ones who are highly addicted. How are families coping? How are individuals coping that you have visited?
Man, they're in crisis. They want to help their children more than anything. They want a place where they can take their kids for help, whether it be, counseling or rehab. But you know what I found the most here in Fiji, and I know pretty well, we're more personal, person-to-person assistant. Home intervention works best for us, and most of the time it's like just talking to the person who's going through whatever addiction they're going through, whatever substance abuse they're going through. But at the same time, family needs healing. They need, somebody to counsel them as well, right? Somebody to talk to them. And for us, it's, and I'm sure we've got some counseling services line people can utilize. But what I found the most is family actually wants that one-on-one home visit, to sit down with them in their comfort of their own home and just allow them to talk. And they love that interaction. And you know what? Those were the things that we used to do back in the days here in Fiji, 30, 40 years ago. I remember correctly, where where as family we sit together and just have a talanoa. Now there's so many influences that take so much of our time, and those are unnecessary, obligations that we just signed ourselves into. So we're removing, as parents, we're removing ourselves from our parental role. Where do the kids go? They go to the school. Man, I've gone into some school, and the teachers are finding it really difficult to control the classroom of 40 kids on their own. Whereas, if parents could have started, teaching their children, forming that relationship with their kids from school, from home, before they get to the school, because the teachers know not their role. Their role is just to educate. Their role is not to discipline their children. That happens from the home.
A lot of parents that say their children have gotten into drugs, they cannot recognize their own children now.
Yeah,
are you getting there?
Yes, definitely, because that's what drugs does to you. You become somebody else. And parents, I want to just hone in with them. If you just the smallest signs, don't wait till it gets too late. The small signs, what does that mean? When you come home and they've locked themselves in the room, or there is somewhere else, they've gone somewhere else all the time. You know what, as parents, I need you to clear your schedule. When you come home, spend 15-20 minutes with your children. Just have a talanoa. Or when you sit down and have a meal, do you know how hard it is, just how rare it is when you see families sitting together, the TV is off, the phone is off. That's rare right now. When and I go into some home, it's either the phone is right there or the TV is on. Parents need to just to be home, and when they're there with the children, they're there in mind, soul, and body with their kids, not thinking of something else. And at the same time, as parents, mom and dad, whoever the guardian is, What happens between you two, your relationship? If you're having a dispute, don't involve the children. The children don't have to see that. Yeah. So for me, it's literally you, the parents. You would know the changes that's happening with your child. If they are showing symptoms of something that's happening with them, ask the question. Stop whatever you're doing. Give that child as much time as you can. Allow a safe environment for the child to talk to you openly of what's happening with them, because you'll be quite surprised. There can be something happening in the school, something happening within the community, and you know what? Here in Fiji, it's not just the you've got the drug issue, you've got community safety is at large. The human trafficking that's happening within our country, and it's happening everywhere. So it's like my push is for the parents. I know you're in crisis, or maybe you want to talk to someone. If you know in your instinct, your gut tells you something is wrong, stop everything. It always is true. Something is really happening within the home.
Now, as a country, we as a people, have we been turning a blind eye to the problem? Starting with the authorities.
Yes, we have. From the top, even civil society, and even to the grassroots.
Could more have been done earlier?
Definitely, without a doubt. First and foremost, the big things that we have here in Fiji is the taboo subjects. Those taboo subjects, because the thing is, okay, drugs, that's there. But before people use drugs, there is contributing factors that went towards that. Okay, what are the contributing factors? These are the taboo subjects that we need to openly talk about, whether it be at home, in the schools, in the churches, even with the Wanua. When I'm talking about domestic violence, when I'm talking about violence against women and children, sexual abuse, incest, domestic violence, all across drug abuse, everything that homelessness, grief and loss, we don't allow a platform for that to happen. Some of the stuff is like swept under the carpet, and we just expect everybody else to say, you know what, everything's fine, everything's fine. No, because it can only go for so long. Triggers happen, explosion happen. That's where we're at right now. The chaos is right here.
Do we need urgent mass awareness campaigns on drugs and addiction?
Yes, we do. And it has to be on a national level. And it's not just, you can't just say one organization does it. No, it has to be, everybody has a role to play.
This is not just about the busts.
No, it is so much more than the bust. So the bust was there. If we didn't have this bust, I'm sure we're going to have other busts. But at the same time, it has to be all. We can't expect the ministry to work in silo. We keep saying this over and over again. I want to see the tire hit the road. Do you know what I mean? I want to see action. It has to be more than just talk. What does that mean? We have to all speak the same messages, whether it be the institutions, the different ministries, the churches, the Vanua, the families, the schools, all across the board. We have to do this together.
You've met with Police, Minister for Home Affairs, P.O.T. Kondondua, Assistant Minister for Women and Children, Sashi Kiran, the Permanent Secretary for Education, Selina Kuruleda. What are the plans going forward?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited because it's been a long time since we got to this place right now. For us, it's all about education, because we are true believers of early intervention. It's all about giving the factual information. And we've seen the changes with the people when they're given the factual information. Their worldview change, they are motivated to do something within their own community. The courage to pick up the phone and call and say, you know what, there's something happening here. We need something is really changing, or something is happening. My child needs help. We need to inspire people to do that. So with the Ministry of all these different ministries, it's all about education for us. That's the exciting thing. Ministry of Education, we're going in we're looking at training teachers, giving them the tools, because the thing is, as teachers, you don't know what you're dealing with, and you're getting kids from all over the place, and they're coming with issues. Being able to share the factual information about drugs, looking at science, how they can best help that child that they're working with. The other one is doing the same thing with the Fiji Council of Churches. I'm so glad that, we've got to this stage, because, a lot of our people, especially Christian parishioners here in this country, there's 11 member churches that's registered at the Fiji Council of Churches. Their parishioners, I think, is over 400,000. And they're totalas, women leaders, youth leaders or whatnot. It's their parishioners, their members, you know, they want the help, who they can go to. So you know what? Why don't we train them? Why don't we give them the tools as well? So we're going to do the different church ministers across the country as well, going to the Home Affairs, and we want to do that with the police as well. You know, giving them the factual, like, the biggest example was the ketamine. You know, when they rang and they said, we don't know what this is, and going and running a workshop with the police in Singatoka, they were eye-opener for them because they didn't even know what that drug was or what it actually does to the person. The impact of that, not just that individual, but the community at large. Yes. So moving forward, it's so excited. Whole different frame now. It's like we training others to actually deliver it within their own community. Yes.
Kalesi, thank you very much for your time, and no doubt you will not be here for the last time. We will continue as the fight continues. You will continue to expose different issues and what you as the people of Fiji have to do to ensure that we continue to fight against this drug trade that continues to be exposed now on a daily basis, and more needs to be done apart from the bus. Any parting words for the people watching?
Yeah, all those who are watching right now, especially parents, guardian, whoever it may be, only you know what's happening within your own community. If you're seeing there are something suspicious happening, or you know, any changes or any concerns you might have, pick up the phone, call someone, reach out. You know, this is not just one person can do this. Everybody has a role to play. You play some role wherever it may be, but at the same time, if you're an individual wanting more information or wanting help, yes, or you want to just have a talanoa with us, you know, why not pick up the phone and just, you know, reach out to us. We're quite happy to come out and share and deliver, you know, the information with you.
That's your show for tonight. Until next week, have a great evening.